Chapter 6, Using Tools for Organizing, Managing, and Evaluating Collaboration. As you read Chapter 6 and review the lecture, you will be able to propose ways of managing time and turf so that there is more time for collaboration and teaming. You'll be able to indicate the procedures for conducting meetings, interviews, and observations, and also illustrate the ways that school consultants can manage records and resources using technology. We'll discuss ways that consultants can use self-assessments to improve their skills, and also why evaluation is important for school consultation in educational and community settings. Finally, we'll look at the steps involved in designing and implementing an evaluation of consultation programs and activities. Stress and fatigue can and do take a toll on educators in the teaching profession today, and teachers continue to say that time is the biggest obstacle for them. The stress associated with consultation and co-teaching can be minimized by managing time and resources wisely, and also assessing outcomes of services provided. Perhaps you've heard that as many as 1/3 of teachers leave the profession within 5 years, and for special education teachers, the attrition rate is especially high. One factor has the potential to influence personal satisfaction, teacher self-efficacy, and that is the belief that teachers have the ability to mold their own actions in ways that affect learning and behavior. Over the next few slides, we'll talk about ways that teachers can reduce stress and burnout. Emotional exhaustion, depersonalization, and reduced accomplishment are 3 basic components to burnout. Novice teachers may have the following concerns when considering collaboration. They may be concerned about how their competence is viewed by others, how much classroom time will be scheduled, and finding time and space to team with colleagues. Fortunately, time management skills can be learned and improved if one chooses to do so. Your text presents a basic 5-step plan for making a time management plan for yourself. First, analyze your current use of time. It's a good idea to reflect on areas at school and home where you aren't as productive as you'd like to be. Next, establish goals and priorities. Then, allocate time and work. Use positive time management techniques such as setting a timer and rewarding oneself for success. Finally, review your results, rethink any problem areas, and continue to reinforce success. As an educator and consultant, you will want to find a method to accurately observe and record your use of time. There are lots of types of logs and formats to do this. Another tip is to make your goals visible and review them often. Long-term goals can be subdivided into short-term goals that can be weekly or daily. A to-do list that includes priority codes and due dates for projects will go a long way in managing time successfully and maximizing productivity. You will also need strategies to maintain focus during work time, avoid interruptions, and at times delegate routine tasks when possible. Minimize procrastination and be able to say no if it's necessary. Your text provides a list of research strategies for gaining time on pages 189 through 191. I'll mention a few here, but do take a look. Here are some ideas of how to maximize the use of time. Administrators, how can you facilitate these research-based collaborative practices? 1. Teachers sharing the same lunch period with the planning period immediately afterward can carve out as many as 90 minutes of shared time each day. 2. Compensatory time for teachers participating in 2 to 3 day planning sessions during breaks in between semesters. 3. Staff development days with as many as 5 or more instructional days waived by state legislator. 4. Hiring a permanent floating substitute. 5. A principal sets 1 day aside per grading period as a collaboration day, with no other activities planned for this day. 6, my personal favorite, having the principal or another staff supervisor teach a period a day regularly. Again, many more ideas are listed in your book. Meetings that are not well planned can waste time, so first, ensure that the business cannot be handled by phone, email, or just a brief face-to-face conversation. In terms of meetings, the smaller the better. Keep the group as small as possible. If you want participants to arrive prepared and stay on topic, an agenda with time estimate should be prepared in advance. It is well advised to assign a meeting chair, recorder, and timekeeper. Before leaving the meeting, a brief recap of the progress, effectiveness of the meeting, and next steps will assist team productivity. As consulting teachers, we may be called upon to conduct observations. Here are a few tips that are particularly helpful. When you enter a classroom, remain as unobtrusive as possible. Students may and do try to engage you, but it's best to avoid getting involved in classroom activities or responding to raised hands. I often use codes when recording behavior for a few reasons. First, in order to take down everything I observe, I need a shorthand. Second, you don't want your physical signs such as writing, watching, or body posture and language to reveal the subject or purpose of the observation. And always, always, always exit the room with respect and a supportive smile for the teacher who is hard at work with the students. If possible, I also like to leave a note. Take just a minute to notice the important things to record when keeping a consultation journal or log. Figure 6.8 on page 199 in your text presents a simple journal format. However, you can customize your own log to include items you need. Some schools require that special education consulting teachers keep a running record of time spent and services provided for students. So you will want to find out if this is the case on your campus. Otherwise, you can find your own format. Business cards can be a very helpful way when interacting with colleagues and parents. Some websites allow you to inexpensively design a customizable and personalized business card. I like Vistaprint. As an educator, I have a few notebooks that serve specific purposes. When I traveled between campuses, this was really important. Consider keeping a notebook or a binder of information that you like to keep handy. For instance, I always have a few different types of observation forms with me because I don't always know what will be needed when I arrive. If you service students in multiple classrooms, you will also want to include classroom schedules in your binder or journal. Important student information may also be kept handy. However, always remember to maintain confidentiality. A school consultation schedule is a tool that demonstrates your ability as a professional. Schedules that are easily accessed, either online in the office or workroom, make it easy for you to be located. You will want to develop a system to organize and distribute materials. Novice teachers often must borrow materials from veterans, so they will want to ensure that they keep a record for loaned materials. For my materials, I used a stamp or label to ensure that they were returned. A teacher portfolio is a useful vehicle for recording collaboration and team interactions, sharing ideas during team meetings, contributing to an ongoing learning process for the teacher, and can be particularly valuable at teacher evaluation time. Ideas of products that can be included in a teaching portfolio are listed on page 205. I'll make brief mention of some that I have seen in practice, but you are encouraged to look at the list to see ideas that could work for you and your role. A few ideas are lesson plans that worked well, sample tests or worksheets that were highly effective, photos of special class sessions, and notes from parents or students that were reinforcing. Though I do caution the use of personal phone texting for the professional setting, it is one way that a message can be sent at the convenience of one party and then read and responded at the receiver's convenience. Many schools have a shared server in which files, lesson plans, assessments are shared and housed. Shared documents with notes, like Google Docs, allows teachers to collaborate on lesson plans, adapt student materials, collaborate, edit, and store online. A scheduling appointment calendar is highly encouraged to keep track of meetings and appointments. Meetings scheduling tools mentioned in your text include Doodle and Meeting Wizard, which assist collaborators in finding available dates and times to schedule meetings. Many school business items, once kept in filing cabinets, can now be stored online. In the next few slides, we'll discuss 3 areas that must be considered for collaborative consultation skills, self-assessment, and self-evaluation. The purpose of this type of self-evaluation is to engage in self-improvement and personal growth. Step 1 is self-assessment, followed by implementation of self-improvement strategies, and finally, a post-strategy self-assessment or reflection. As educators, we can use video, portfolios, and of course, checklists. I remember being required to video record myself teaching a lesson in my first year in my master's program and found this to be extremely helpful for me to improve my teaching skills. It's also something that can be viewed by others for feedback. Consultants are concerned with the following information when considering an evaluation of the collaborative school processes. What is evaluation? In most education settings, evaluation relates to determining the worth of an educational program, such as an IEP, a peer tutoring program, or a co-teaching arrangement. Who cares about the evaluation? Stakeholders care about the benefits of a program and the intended outcomes because it's their children who are involved or their time is involved. The purpose is to answer stakeholder questions, which are usually related to the expectations of school districts, families, and communities. Most educational program evaluations involve information collected for one of 2 purposes: formative evaluation or summative evaluation. Formative evaluation assists educators in making decisions to modify, change, or refine a program during implementation. Summative evaluation provides the documentation for the attainment of program goals and is used most often by administrators to determine if programs should be started, maintained, ended, or selected. Carefully planned steps in designing program evaluations are as follows. 1. What is the purpose of the evaluation? The why. 2. What do stakeholders want to know? 3. What activities will the program implement to reach its goals? 4. How will the expected outcomes of the activities be measured? 5. How and when will the data be collected and analyzed? And 6. How will the findings be reported and used? A logic model describes the elements of program evaluation and how the program or activities are organized to produce the expected outcomes. This systematic way visually depicts the relationships among program operation resources, activities that have been planned, and the intended outcomes that are to be achieved. There are a number of important considerations and evaluations for collaborative school activities and programs. The first are listed here. 1. The evaluation process should be ongoing. 2. Multiple sources of information should be used. 3. Valid and reliable methods of gathering information should be used. And 4. It should be limited to gathering data that will answer pertinent questions and document the attainment of consultation goals. 5. It should be realistic, diplomatic, and sensitive to diversity issues. 6. Legal and ethical procedures must be followed. 7. Respondents can remain anonymous. This should be maintained whenever possible. 8. It needs to be cost-effective in terms of time and money. 9. Data that are collected must be put to useful purpose. If not, data should not be collected. And 10. Formative evaluation should result in program change. Summative evaluation should result in decision-making about the program. This concludes the lecture for Chapter 6, Using Tools for Organizing, Managing, and Evaluating Collaboration.